Hello, friends. I'm back for another chapter on facets of Indian history, and this time we would look at uh, a new section, Ports of India, and we'll start with Bharuch or Barygaza, which was a very important port of ancient India about 2000 years ago. And we would look at all the sources regarding the port, what was exported, what was imported, which kings actually maintained the port to make it one of the most important ports of ancient India. And we would also look at its downfall in the next few centuries. So the location, it is known as Barygaza in the Periplus of the Erythraean Sea, uh, and it is the oldest city in Gujarat as per the archaeological excavations. And apart from, say, the sites of Indus Valley, that is, and the name of this city was actually Bhrigu Kach, or the residence of Bhrigu. Now, Sage Bhrigu is one of the seven uh, great sages of Hinduism called Saptarishi, and he is one of them. His ashram was located at this place, and hence the place came to be known as the place where sage Bhrigu resided, or Bhrigu Kacha. The thing is that we don't know much about the port in the BCE era. We only come to know about this in the first century CE, but there would be a lot of interactions in the BCE era as well regarding this uh, particular port, and we it is possible that they would have trade relations with ancient Phoenicians, Arabia, Egypt, etc., and it made possible that lots of luxury goods were imported and exported out of this port in the BCE era. So this is the location. I'll just magnify it. This is north of district of Surat and bounded by the Gulf of Khambat in the west, the region of Bharuch, the city, and it was a very important port of the ancient times. 2000 years ago, the geography would have changed a little bit as compared to today. So the sea would have been more inland towards the city as compared to now, making it possible to dock ships and to also for the ships to leave the port safely. So this is the location of Bharuch in modern times. So we have just one source, and there are several other secondary and tertiary sources, but I'd like to concentrate on the primary source, which is the Periplus of the Erythraean Sea. Now, this was a logbook written by an unnamed Greek navigator. It was written between 60 to something like 130 CE, and we don't know the name. We know that that has been written by a Greek guy because the document is in Greek. But we also know that Periplus of the Erythraean Sea talks about all the major port destinations of India as well as in Arabia, Egypt, etc. And the way it has been written uh, points out to the fact that whoever has written this particular document was a very good navigator because he knew uh, uh, when the ships traveled, how they docked, etc., etc. So we know that he was a very good navigator, the author of the Periplus of the Erythraean Sea. So we'll just look at what he says about Barygaza. So this is the first one in the section 41 of Periplus, and It says that beyond the Gulf of Baraka, which is the Gulf of Kutch, is the port of Barygaza, and at the coast of the country of Aryaka, which is the kingdom ruled by Nambanas and all of India. So it talks about the Gulf of Kutch, Gulf, which was called the Gulf of Baraka in those days, and it talks about a kingdom ruled by Nambanas. Now, this is Nambanas is no one but King Nahapana of he was an Indo-Scythian king, and I will look at his coin, which was found in a hoard in about last century, early part of last century. This is presently at British Museum. You can clearly see a Nahapana here. The legend is in Greek language, and it says King Nahapana. So this is what the legend says. So this is Nahapana. Now I'll just like to take you back a little bit towards the Indo-Scythians. Now the Indo-Scythians invaded India in waves after the disintegration of Mauryan Empire. So they were from Central Asia or near the Caspian Sea, and they came, say, starting about 100 CE or 100 BCE. They started their invasions towards India in small groups, and they were actually two parts of Indo-Scythians, what the historians call it. One is the Western Kshatrapas. Nahapana was one of the Western Kshatrapas, or the Western Indo-Scythian kingdoms, and there was another Northern Kshatrapas. So northern Indo-Scythian kings, they had their kingdoms between Sialkot to Mathura, and the Western Kshatrapas, where the Nahapana was a part of Western Kshatrapas, they created an empire based from Sindh to modern Ujjain in Madhya Pradesh. Now, these Indo-Scythian or the Western Kshatrapas I'm talking about, are further subdivided into two categories. So one is Kshatrata and another is Bhadramukha. So Kshatrata was based at Barygaza, ruled by King Nambanas, and Bhadramukhas were based at Ujjain. It was started by a king called Chasthana, and the great king Rudradaman was one of the Western Kshatrapas king. He belonged to the Bhadramukha dynasty. Nambanas or Nahapana belonged to the Kshatrata dynasty of Indo-Scythians, and he was exterminated by none other than Gautamiputra Shatkarni in about 124 CE. So this is a coin of Nambanas, uh, which the Periplus talks about. Again, this continues. The metropolis of this country is Minagara, from which much cotton cloth is brought down to Barygaza. In these places, there remain even to present time signs of expedition of Alexander, such as ancient shrines, walls of forts, and great wells. So Minagara was another feeding port of Barygaza. It was located somewhere near modern Karachi, uh, and it used to feed the port of Minagra with cotton cloth. Of Minagra used to feed the port of Bargaza with cotton clothes and other things. So the thing about there is Periplus talks about the Greek influence at Barygaza. Now we would know that Alexander came to India in about 326 CE, BCE, and invaded and conquered lots of region of northwestern India. So he actually opened the door to Indo-Greek interactions. You could start your journey all the way from Athens and come down to Indus speaking Greek all the way. So that was the kind of Greek influence in those days. And this talks about the ancient shrines or the fortifications, the buildings of Barygaza. They were all built in Greek architecture. That is what the this comment from Peripolus states. So this was not only Barygaza was great trading port, it was also an example of synthesis of Indo-Greek culture. So this is what the Peripolus states here. Now we have the coins of Menander. We have ample evidence from Peripolus itself which says that the coins of Indo-Greek king Menander were in circulation about 200 years after his death. So King Menander was ruling northwestern parts of India with its capital based as Sialkot, and whole of modern day Pakistan and parts of northern India also were under his kingdom. And he was a very famous king in as per Milinda Pahano. The questions of Milinda is known as Milinda in Indian or in Sanskrit literature and in Buddhist literature as well. So his coins were in circulation at Barygaza about 200 years after his death. So Menander died in about 130 CE. So after 200 years after his death, that is about 100 CE, his coins were still in circulation, and these are very good coins. These are again at British Museum, and you can see at obverse the king wearing a Hellenistic cap and has a spear in his hand. On the reverse, you could see Athena and with a diadem, and there is a legend around Athena which says Menander King Soter, or our savior King Menander. So these are the coins which were found at Barygaza or Bharuch of Bharuch or Barygaza. So Peripolus states that one of the biggest exports were teak wood, cotton, ebony wood, and wheat uh, from Bharuch. And it was also served as a foreign exchange center where vast amount of Roman gold and silver coins were collected. The thing is that in earlier days, it was money as well as a barter system which used to work. Uh, and there were lots of things from India which were exported to the Roman Empire. Some of the things like spices and perfumes and other things, Romans had no collaterals to give in, so they used to buy this and exchange it with gold and silver. And we'll just go back to the coin of Nambanus or Nahapana. You can see this coin actually has been made from Roman silver. Now, Indians at that point of time did had silver mines, but the quality of silver was not that good as compared to the Western world. So all these commodities were exchanged with Roman silver, and then that silver were used to mint these kind of coins. If you could compare this with any coin of silver coin of say the Guptas, you would exactly know the difference, because at that point of time, say in Gupta Empire, uh, the trade with Rome was a little less, and the silver, if you could see the silver coins of Gupta era, uh, which were found in Western India, their quality is very less as compared to the quality of these coins, suggesting that the quality of silver of India was not very good as compared to the Roman silver. Now, so lots of gold and lots of silver coins have been found in hoards in the last 150 odd years in this area of Bharuch. And it continued to be one of the principal trading centers in the following centuries. And it was under the Guptas, it was under the uh, and all other kings, which dynasties which followed the Western Kshatrapas. Around 780, the area surrounding the center was destroyed by governor of Sindh, Hassam Tughlaqi. So he destroyed temples and built mosques there, but he also and there was this destroyed. He also tried to destroy the port at Barygaza. Even if he was not able to fully destroy it, by 780 800, the importance of port of this particular port had been dwindled down, and because there were lots of other great centers of other great ports which were founded by that time, and the importance of Barygaza was lost. So the region continued to be under one empire or the another. So you have the Mughals came in, Delhi Sultanate, and then there was Gujarat Sultans ruling over it. Then there were Mughals, Marathas, and there was this first Anglo-Maratha War, and it stopped. I mean, under the Treaty of Salbai in 1782, which ended the first Anglo-Maratha War. This region was given to the East India Company by Marathas. So that concludes our first our this description of ports. I'll be back again next week for looking at another facet of Indian history. Uh, Keep supporting me. Please like and subscribe, and please connect with me on Twitter. My handle is given in the description dialog. I'll meet again next week. Goodbye and take care.